All units convert to anacostia. All units convert to anacostia. Officer down, officer down.
According to investigators, a library police officer was shot and killed by a retired MPD lieutenant. It happened during a training session, but exactly how it happened, still up in the air.
I wish I had more information to share with you as to why and how this happened. This is a very unfortunate event, and we are investigating right now, and we'll investigate this matter to the fullest.
Around 3:30 p.m. on August 4th, members of the Metropolitan Police Department were called to the Anacostia Neighborhood Library in Washington, D.C.'s 1800 block of Good Hope Road Southeast. Upon arrival, they would locate a woman inside, suffering from a gunshot wound. D.C. Fire and Emergency Medical Services responded to the scene and transported the victim to an area hospital, where she sadly succumbed to her injuries.
The library police officer is dead after a training inside the Anacostia Library in Southeast D.C. went awry.
At some point during the course of at the end of the training, the retired lieutenant fired a shot.
The woman would soon be identified as 25-year-old Special Police Officer Maurica Manyan of Indian Head, Maryland. She had been on the force for less than a year. The suspect, who was later identified as 58-year-old Jesse Porter, a retired police lieutenant with the Metropolitan Police Department, was conducting an ASP baton training with the library officers when the incident occurred. Porter was contracted by the Anacostia Neighborhood Library to provide training for some of its officers on the use of extendable batons. Online records show that he runs a private company called Porter Consulting and Expert Tactical Training. Websites describe Porter as a use of force consultant and a de-escalation and crisis intervention instructor. According to a court affidavit, officers at the training said they wanted a group picture taken at the end of the event. Documents also revealed that Maurica was the subject of playful jokes focused on her hair and shoes, and she reportedly said she wanted to take off her mask before taking the picture, which she then placed at her side. At this moment, everyone began to laugh, followed by Porter jokingly stating, "Here we go again." He then walked out of the picture, picked up his handgun, and turned and fired a single shot, hitting Maurica in the chest. Witnesses described hearing a loud boom and then watching the 25-year-old collapse on the floor. At that moment, Porter stated, "I thought I had my training gun. Why did I do this? Is she okay?" A gun was recovered from the scene. Officers who reviewed the video footage said that Porter performed CPR on Maurica and appeared distraught and very remorseful. One library police officer said Porter looked at them as DC police were escorting him out of the building and said, "I'm sorry, I shot your officer." Multiple witnesses told police that Porter seemed to be joking around with Maurica when he fired his gun. One witness, who has known Porter for about a year, said the retired lieutenant is often playful as to not make the training boring. The individual described an interaction before lunch a day earlier when Porter had pointed an orange training firearm at Maurica and simulated shooting her after she made a funny comment. A D.C. police officer employed by Porter's firm and in the training room that day said Porter had his training weapon in his holster throughout the session and had probably just switched it for his live firearm because they were getting ready to leave.
The library remained closed during the investigation. Police Chief Robert Conti telling us that retired MPD lieutenant was being interviewed by the homicide unit. ANC Commissioner Paul Trantham says that the recent violence in the area makes the role of the special police officers key at the public library that has been dealing with a wide range of issues.
Mental health, individuals, violence, and people doing harm to one another.
D.C. Advisory Neighborhood Commissioner Barbara Clark was on the scene shortly after the shooting.
Because children are the ones that you really worry about, because they come to the library in the summertime. It's cool. They got the computers and they got programs.
In a news conference from the Metropolitan Police Department, Chief of Police Robert J. Conti could not explain why Porter carried a real gun with live ammunition.
He was conducting baton training, and again, not certain why. I don't have answers as to why the live firearm was in an baton training. I don't have those answers for you right now.
What is baton training?
So it's an extendable baton that police officers and security officers that they use. It's the old like nightstick, but it's the extendable one. They were in the lower level of the library in a training room. It's a large training room, and there were about maybe 6 people in the room, to include the trainer and several other library police officers. It's a very tragic situation that we're dealing with here, and my condolences to the family of the deceased library police officer and to their entire agency.
Porter was arrested and charged with involuntary manslaughter. He appeared in court Friday and was released from custody until trial. He was ordered not to possess any weapons and to turn over any personal firearms to police. His preliminary hearing is scheduled for August 24th. Porter's attorney could not immediately be reached for comment.